How do you respond to parents who are concerned about screen time?
Two ways. I think the parents need to take a moment and pause and think about which screens are their children using, where are they using them, and what are they using them for. I wrote a book a few years ago that's now out of print called Using an iPad with Your Preschooler, which was written particularly to help parents understand that they could do more with a tablet or a phone than hand their child videos to watch passively, but that there were a lot of other opportunities. And I think that we still see a lot of this passive use of technology with young children. I will say the most egregious use of that I ever saw was children in strollers at Disney World watching videos. Here they are in the most rich environment of sound and smell and taste and everything, and they were watching videos in a stroller. I know there's a time when you really need your child to sit down and just do something so you can take a phone call or cook dinner or whatever it is. But we need to be thoughtful about how screens are being used, where, and to do what. In classrooms, there's very little screen time in elementary school. We have very few opportunities for children to spend much time on the screen. I worked with a school with one-to-one technology. Every child had an iPad starting at 3 years old. They had very little screen time, even though they each had their own, because there were so many other things to do as well.
Mm-hmm.
They're busy, but there was almost never passive screen time. When those children were getting their screen time was when they got home and they were sitting in front of televisions. And so we need to make sure it's really about screen time and not about technology. Now, as far as screen time in the classroom or screen time in learning settings where we're talking about computational thinking and computer science and pre-coding and coding, it's not passive at all. It doesn't do anything unless you do something. And so it forces engagement or it does nothing. I mean, if you've got a bot and you're not pushing buttons, it's just going to sit there, And if you're looking at the screen to program it and you don't put anything in, it's not going to move. In this part of technology use, the screen is almost never passive. I do think there's another warning here, and that's about how the interaction is. I don't know if you know Marina Baer's book, Coding as a Playground.
Mm-mm.
I highly recommend it. He talks about technology use as playpens and playgrounds. When you think about a child in a playpen, they are safer, their choices are more controlled, there's only so much they can do. Think about children in a playground. It's still somewhat controlled. They're not out in the woods. They're safer, but there's room to play, and there's different ways to play with the things that are there, and there's more experimentation. And there's usually more than one child. So there's collaboration, cooperation, communication. And I think if we think of not just screen time, but the role of screen and what the child is doing, we want to be careful about not just choosing playpen choices. So a playpen choice would be an on-screen activity where they're moving a character in a maze in a programming-like fashion. So characters here, you want the character to go there, so you're going to push on the screen an arrow pointing this way 3 times, an arrow pointing that way 2 times, and bingo, you win the prize because you've got the character to the goal. But the app or the website or the tool only allows one answer. That's a playpen. The child isn't really learning coding by doing that. The child is learning to follow someone else's code because there's only one way. So we have to be cautious not just about the amount of time on the screen, but the quality of the child interaction. And I think that hopefully at some point we'll move towards that discussion more than just how much time. That all being said, I do understand why parents are concerned. And parents are concerned because they see how children use screens at home. And we have not done a very good job of helping them see how screens can be used at school. In education, we don't have enough time to market to parents all the good things that happen in our classrooms because we're already too busy. But I think the more we begin to show the things children can do and are doing, then the power changes and parents see another possibility.